Hey guys, what's going on, man? It's Bobby here with RLC Plumbing. Hey, I just want to come back at you at this YouTube channel. We're going to show y'all how to put in a garbage disposal today. So this is our warehouse. I'm going to come on down here, bring this garbage disposal with me, and I'll take y'all along for the ride how to install a garbage disposal. In case y'all didn't know, my son tore this door up. I had to fix it, me and Greg. Hey guys, look, now we've shown up to the job and we're gonna take a look at replacing this garbage disposal. So what we have here is the garbage disposal is damaged and not functioning correctly. We actually have leaks coming from it. So normally when a garbage disposal fails, it starts leaking through the bottom of the casing. The way the blades turn in there, the inside of the garbage disposal is round and the blades flip out to the edge. And as it starts to wear the inside edge, it starts to leak through the casing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this garbage disposal out, and we're also gonna replace the basket strainer. They've requested a new basket strainer as well, which is this piece here. And then we're gonna replace and plumb the drain work a little different. So I'm just gonna take y'all along for the ride and let y'all take a look at what we do. So we'll run up to the truck, get our tools, get our parts, and we'll come back in here and get this knocked out. All right guys, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my bucket of tools. I know it's a little bit of a mess, but I'm actually not working out of my personal truck. I'm working out of one of my other guys' trucks. We had a guy call off at about lunchtime today. So tell you the truth, when you own the company, the only person you can truly count on is yourself. So I'm gonna pick up the slack and I'm gonna replace this garbage disposal, and I'm gonna take you guys along with me. So I do not need a caulk gun. We're gonna install this garbage disposal here. This is a 1/2 horsepower supplied by one of our companies we do a lot of business with, which is the Home Depot Specialty Trades. And we're gonna need all the parts in this bucket. Here's our new basket strainer. We're gonna install the new basket strainer on the right-hand side of the sink. Here is the drain work we're gonna use, a continuous waste drain work. This is called these are all called rapid fit fittings. This is a slip extension, and this is a flange tail piece. We're also going to have to put in a electrical outlet because it's hardwired, and the new garbage disposals come with a whip, so an actual plug on it. So we'll take you through this whole process and see what we can get done. All right guys, so first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna lay our drop cloth down. We'll go ahead and put on some latex. Just helps keep your hands from getting abrasions and cuts. Last thing we want to do is get our hands all cut up. Being a plumber, that's no fun. So always turn your hat around backwards because you don't want to bang your head. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the garbage disposal and disconnect this. This is actually the dishwasher. So we have a pair of channel locks. And this dishwasher actually has a squeeze clamp on it. So we'll pull that off of here and set it to the side. And then we're going to go ahead and get a screwdriver. And we're going to loosen these two screws here. They're flathead screws. Pretty easy to get off. Once you break them loose, they'll come off pretty easy. All right, now we're going to take our little Folgers coffee can and we're going to catch the water out of this P-trap here. It's just a matter of loosening the slip joint nuts. We're just going to set that to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and take this one loose back here just to kind of get it out of my way. All right, and now we're going to take our screwdriver. And if you look up here at the top, you've got these little rings. There's 3 of them up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my screwdriver in that little ring, and I'm going to work it around, and that unclips the garbage disposal. I'm going to set this out of my way, set this out of my way. I'm going to lay this down, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we don't have power to the garbage disposal. So this right here is called a tattletale, and so we're going to check it. You know, the wiring right here, we're just going to check and see if we get any power. This tattletale will read through the sheath. I'm not seeing that there's any power. If there was power, it would do this. Okay, so we're going to put that up, and then now we're going to unwire it. You flip it around this way, and you're going to take this little screw out right here. It's a Phillips number 2. You just unscrew that screw, and you're going to take this little trap door off. You're going to reach in here and grab the wiring nuts. You're going to pull them out like so. You're going to unscrew them. Now before I actually touch those wire nuts, or the wires, the bare wires myself, I'm going to grab my tattletale one more time, and I'm going to check. So your black is your hot wire, the white is your common wire, and so I'm showing no powers. So we're safe to go ahead and untwist these wires. And then we're going to take that ground loose. It's kind of hard to see, but this is your ground wire. That green screw is your ground. Let's see if I can get it off here. Switch this up here. Inch. Oh my goodness. All right, this is the thing of being a master plumber. I gotta answer the phone. This is Bobby. So these flathead screws are pretty difficult, but the electrical community loves them. And to be honest, I can't tell you why. But everything electrical almost always has a flat blade screw. And we just unscrew this screw all the way because we're not going to need it anymore. And that frees your ground up. All right, we'll push our wires out. So just work them out of the little coupling. There we go. There we go. Now we got our wires out. And you always want to separate your wires apart, just in case somebody hits that switch, it's not touching one another. So our old garbage disposal is out. We'll set that to the side. I normally just throw the extra stuff inside the garbage disposal. We don't need that. Don't need none of that. And then now we're going to reach in this bucket here, get us a box, and we got to figure out a mounting location that will work for the outlet. And we'll mount it right there, and we'll run that whip up into it. So that being said, run this whip up in here. We're going to wire the outlet up. ground goes to the ground. Let me get my handy dandy strippers. And I need this screwdriver here. So what I always do is roll. You grab the jaws right here like this, and you roll the ground over like that. And that makes it a perfect candidate to grab that screw right there, the green screw. So we're gonna mount it on the wall like this, and we'll leave it like that. So the screw's gonna go here. So, turn it up. So you want to turn the hook of the screw the same direction as you're going to tighten the hook of the ground the same direction you're going to tighten the screw. That way it bites the ground and turns it into the screw. And we're going to take, so the gold screws are always for your hot wire, which is your black wire. So you're going to slip your black wire into here, the back of that, and you're going to tighten this down. And then you're going to slip your white screw into the silver side, like that. And you're going to tighten this screw down. Fold your wires like this, and you're going to push them back, and you're going to tighten into your box. All right, I need to get in my pouch here. I need some screws. So now we're going to take a couple of these mounting screws, and we're going to mount the box to the wall. Like so. So I'm going to lean up in here. I prefer the Milwaukee tips. So Milwaukee, if you're listening, we'll sure take a sponsor. And then we take this outlet and we mount it in the box by tightening these two screws here. Now we're going to put our cover on, which we got a switch cover in here. Open this up. Take our switch cover, and it's just a single screw for a switch cover. And we're going to mount it. Bam, baby, just like that. What do you think? So we got the electrical whip in, and we got it all put together. Now we're going to remove the basket strainer for the actual garbage disposal. So that's this piece here. I like to just use a drill. Loosen these bolts out and go ahead and take them all the way out. There's a keeper ring in here. So what I like to do is catch that keeper ring like this. And if you see, I'm going to let it fall. You see how it comes down? It's split. This is what it looks like. It's a split ring. It's a split ring like that. and then you pull this flange down. So it's the ring, the flange, and then you pull this flange down, like that, and then you just give this a bump, and it pops up in the sink. Then you pull, this is called the friction ring, and you pull that down. Then you come up here, and you're gonna take this ring out. That'll all be garbage. Then you're gonna clean this up. So what I like to do is lay my bucket underneath there to catch as much of it as I can. And you just clean this up. I very typically just use my screwdriver to kind of clean up the edges. I don't get crazy on it. I just clean up the edges. Just like so. Just want to clean up the edges. You're not trying to scuff the surface. You're just trying to lightly clean it up. You can use a scraper too. A plastic scraper is really good for this. Or, you know, do like I'm doing here, just a little screwdriver. Once I get most of it off, then I will get me a paper towel and I'll wipe it out, the rest of it. So this job's pretty easy. I mean, I know it looks complicated. In most cases, in newer homes, they don't have, you don't have to wire up the electrical for the whip. Most homes have an outlet already under there. It's just until the last couple of years they really started releasing garbage disposals with the whip already wired in, so you have to plug into an outlet. You can still buy ones that directly wire into the whip, like that last one that I just took apart. We just, you know, here at RLC Plumbing, we keep the other ones actually on hand, so that's what we use. So once we get that wiped out, then we'll go ahead and start prepping our new one to go in. So that being said, we'll open our new garbage disposal. I always leave the paperwork for the customer sitting next to the sink. And we always leave the new stopper sitting there as well. And then this will be our little stopper or drain to keep particles from flying out of the garbage disposal back up into the sink. This is our flange kit. It comes with the 2 screws. So what I like to do, get all the trash off of it. And I like to set this to the side. And I like to take our old one, drop it down in the box, and then put all the old pieces down in the box. That way it makes it easy to dispose of. Get all our old pieces out. Don't need those. Our old ring. All right, get it all cleaned up, ready to go, so we can get this all installed. We'll set this guy to the side. Go ahead and remove the flange on this one. So we take our screwdriver, unscrew this just enough to get them started and going. So this is a pretty standard way that most garbage disposal companies operate. They use about the same flange. There's some plumbing companies out there, you see it has the same design where that you can unlock it like that with a screwdriver. Some plumbing companies don't replace this part. They just unlock the old one, put the new one on. Here at RLC, we replace all the parts. If it comes with it, that's what gets installed. So you go ahead and loosen these bolts off like we did for the disassembly on the old one. I normally loosen them down to about right there, all the way around. Don't forget, boys and girls, if you do get in a bind, you're trying to do this by yourself, you can always call us. Knowledge is free. Look, I'll walk you through it over the phone. You ought to be able to handle this. This project's not impossible. Even the average person can do this. So don't be afraid to try it. So we pull the flange off. Then we pull our friction flange and our friction disc off. Then we're going to get some putty, and we're going to put putty along this, about a 1/2 inch bead. It's you basically roll it out like Play-Doh. So let me get the putty. Hey guys, so I'm back with the plumber's putty. I just wanted to show you, this is a Black Swan. It doesn't matter what brand you use, but basically it looks like this. I buy it by the 5-pound cans. If you're doing this, tackling this yourself, you just want to grab one of the little 1/2 pound or 1 pound cans. You don't want to get too much. So you roll it up into a bead about this size. It's about a 1/2 inch bead is what I would call that. And then you just take your flange and you just work it around the flange. Not very difficult. It's just like playing with Play-Doh. We call this plumber's Play-Doh. And then you go ahead and roll you up some more and get you all the way around. And then once you get the rest of the way around, you go ahead and just pinch it off like that. And then just make sure it makes a good smooth transition. Actually, I felt a piece of something in it. You don't want trash in it for sure. So we make sure we got a good smooth transition where we tied it all together. And then I'm gonna go up top and I'm gonna drop this down in there like this. And I'm gonna press it. Now, you're pressing it just to kind of push some of the putty out to make it a little easier to work with. Some companies actually put their name brand on the edge of it. So you want to make sure you get letter orientation if that is the case. So be watching for that. This company does not do that. It just makes it a little easier to install so you don't have to worry about orientation. Now we're going to join me under here. We're going to go ahead and add our paper friction ring. Then we're going to add our lockdown disc, and now we're going to put this tightening ring up here. This is the hardest part of the entire job. So you remember this ring was split. It has a split in it like right here. So now I've got to get this ring on there and hold it down at the same time. So what I do is I normally put the ring up there, hold that clip, and push it around like this until you get it all the way around. Now you want to make sure that that clip seats all the way up in here, because if it doesn't seat all the way up in there, what'll happen is you'll put it all together, and then when you go to the garbage disposal will be running or whatever, it could fall off there and flood your kitchen. So be sure that little snap ring's on there. Next, we're going to go ahead and tighten it up. Now I like to use the drill just to suck up some of the distance. I don't completely tighten it down with this. I just use it to make up some of the distance. Squish some of that putty out. All right, and then I take my screwdriver and I finish it off. Well, I have my bit here. Where'd my bit go? All right, get my screwdriver and finish it up. And then I'm going to go up top and clean the edge of it. So I usually just use my small standard screwdriver, and I just kind of catch on the edge of this and just kind of cut it out of the way like that, and then you can just pull that putty off. Just like that, it's installed. So now that we've got our ring in, and you can save that putty, you know, it's not bad. Now that we've got our ring in, we're going to go ahead and, so what we're going to do on this particular drain is we're going to cut it right here at the wall, and we're going to change the way it's piped to make it a little more efficient. So we're going to add the continuous waste straight over to this basket strainer. So before I do that, I want to go ahead and pull my water out of this P-trap. So I'm going to loosen this P-trap here. And then I'm going to loosen this side. Dump our P-trap out. I'm going to set it over here on my drop cloth. And I'm going to take this off. my bucket of water out of the way. And we're going to take this off. So we're going to take this basket strainer loose. I like to grab just single two sides of the nut here. This one's pretty seized up, so you may get to learn how to actually cut a basket strainer off. Let me see. Get a little bigger pair of channel locks, see if we can get a better hold on it. Oh, ear broke off. Nope, that's not gonna come out. So y'all get to learn a new tip and trick at the same time. So I take my handy dandy hacksaw blade and I'm gonna cut across at a real sharp diagonal right here. And what that'll do is it'll give me the ability to take my screwdriver and pry that nut off, and then it'll come out. So let me cut this. So you want to be mindful that you're not cutting through the sink. And you just cut through here until you get through the nut. It takes a little bit, but this is about the safest way I've found to do this. Because if you try to fight it and fight it and fight it, you'll spend forever trying to get that nut off. And then at the end of it, you'll end up cutting it off anyway. Once you get the blade started in there, you can go a little faster. You see how I'm starting to get a groove cut in it? Let's see, I'll move this out of my way so I can get a little better angle on it. That's a tough one. Let's see if we can get it in there. Almost. There we go. Now we're getting it. Whew, that's a tough one, man. Sometimes these nuts are made of super metal, and They're difficult to saw through. But that don't slow me down. I'll still get her done. Been doing this almost 27 years. And I've not met a sink that would defeat me yet. If I can't grab a plumber's hammer. Yeah, it's gonna make me go all the way. Now, as an amateur, if you run into this, you got to remember to be patient. Patience is one of the biggest things on stuff like this. You get impatient, you tend to make mistakes. This is a very difficult job when it comes down to something like this. I have no doubt you can handle it and you could do it if you end up with this problem. But if you do get stuck, at least you've got something to refer to. Whew. Make an athlete out of you doing this. I think we got it whooped. So as you see, what I did is I completely cut through the flange ring, and I cut it at an angle so that you could peel it back and actually break that piece in half. And so what that does is that lets the nut flex and then come off the threads. And here's our end result. Got one out of there. So the same thing with the garbage disposal. I'm gonna go up top. I'm gonna move my bucket underneath the hole here so that I can clean most of that material off the top. Try to get it cleaned up. Yeah, a lot of this putty was already wasted and gone. This has been in here for a little bit. So get this all cleaned up. That's the old gasket right there that you're seeing. edges of it. And we'll grab another paper towel here. And we'll go ahead and clean this up. And for the basket strainer is going to be the same thing. We're going to go ahead and put about a 1/2 inch dab of putty around it, plumber's putty. That way we can make a good seal to the sink. But we want to get our flange area cleaned up first, because if you don't clean up the flange, the putty could have a leak through it. So like with a lot of things, when you're working on it, you really need a good cleanup on it to make sure that it seals correctly. So that's done. Let's go ahead and get our basket strainer. And he's right here. Thank you, Trevor. You're the man. It's my homie Trevor on the back side of the camera. He is jam up. I love this dude. So we take the nut off. Here we use solid brass. I know you can't see and feel the weight of that, but that's a solid brass basket strainer. We try to use only the top of the line material with a solid brass nut. So this is the gasket and this is the friction ring, just like on the other side. Now we'll go ahead and open our putty up and we'll get us another shot of putty here. Same thing, about a 1/2 inch bead roll, and you're gonna just run it around the edge here. Just making sure you have plenty. As long as it squishes out, that was enough. You just want to make sure it squishes out. That's what makes the seal between the sink and the basket strainer. A little more right there. Let me get just a pinch more. Put it right here. All right. That's looking real good there. Look, I already busted my gloves. Look at that. That's all right. We'll just keep going. All right. Now this basket strainer is a little easier to get in because it's got a nut. So I just go up here. Same thing like on the other basket strainer. You want to make sure there's no words on it to have a set orientation. And you just squish the basket strainer down in there until you start getting putty flowing out. This just pre-squishes, makes it a little easier to tighten up. And it also lets you know that you got enough putty on it. So now we'll go back underneath here. And we will go with our gasket first, goes to the sink. Then the friction ring, the cardboard friction ring, and then the brass nut. And then we tighten it up. And pull it down a little more. See if I can squish that down a little more. Gasket. Get some of this putty out of the way. Just take my hacksaw blade here, and I'm just gonna, with the rounded part of the hacksaw blade there, not the teeth, I'm gonna go around this edge. Try to get me some more thread showing. So this is a cast iron sink, and they're a little bit thicker than just a standard stamped steel sink. So sometimes you really have to make sure your basket strainer gets squished down good. So I'm gonna go up and push on the basket strainer a little bit. All right, now let's see if we can get this nut on there. So same thing, put your gasket first, your friction ring. What the friction ring allows to do, the cardboard friction ring, allows the nut to spin on the gasket without seizing up. Because if you didn't have a friction ring, what would happen is as you tighten the nut on the gasket, it would squish the gasket out. So the friction ring allows the nut to turn without squishing the gasket. So now that we've got it started, we're just going to grab it with our channel locks here, and we're going to turn. And I like to do what I call pop turning. So it's just kind of a bump. You see how I make just a bump? And so that allows the nut to spin without spinning the whole basket strainer. Now they do make a tool that fits up in here, this cross, but it makes it very difficult to do it, hold the tool and the channel locks at the same time. So with the basket strainer tight, clean off all our little extra stuff. And then we are going to start piping our drain. This will be a lot of fun, I promise. So like I said before, I've been doing this 27 years. This is a long time to stick with one craft, but it has been a good craft to me. I've made a very good living at being a plumber. I still, even as long as I've been doing it, I still enjoy doing it. So I can't ever see myself stopping. That being said, I own multiple other companies as well. So this is not my only source of income. So now when I get back in the field, it's just for a good time. All right, so I'm gonna take my Sawzall by Milwaukee, by the way. Milwaukee, we're looking for a sponsor. And I'm gonna cut this drain off. Well, I'm going to finish that off with a hacksaw blade. Got our wire cut off. Around our edges here. And then we will need to get some glue and primer. So this is called a master trap. And we're going to open this up. And what we have inside here is what we call a trap adapter. So this is a trap adapter, and it's going to glue on at the wall. So I'm going to set it right there, and I'm going to go to the truck and get some glue. Man, I need a helper. So now we're going to glue our fittings together to go under there. Go ahead and put some on here like this. This is hot glue. Line it up. I'll make me a 45. I didn't have a 45 on the truck, so I took 2 quarter bends and put them together to make a 45. So I like to kind of wipe the glue off, keep it from getting everywhere. I put it on my pants. My wife hates that, but that's what I do. It's a good place to put it. And then I'm going to glue this 45 on there like that, and I'm going to glue this in there, and I'm going to glue the male adapter on, and that will throw us out about right there. And then when we get this all piped together, we'll put our P-trap on and go straight into there. So let me finish gluing all this together. Push it in and give it a quarter turn. Perfect. All right, now we're gonna move on to doing our drain installation. I'm gonna close my glue up. I'm gonna put it in a safe place because the last thing I wanna do is get glue on the customer's floor. Same thing with primer. In a finished house, I don't normally bring purple primer in just because I want to protect the customer's floors and property, because you spill purple primer on anything, it's done, it's stained. There's no way around it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hang the garbage disposal. Oh, before we hang the garbage disposal, you see this little plug in there? There's a little plug down in there. You see a little white plug? We've got to knock that out. If you don't knock that out, then the dishwasher won't drain. And 99% of the time when customers call me and say, I don't know what's up with my dishwasher, it just won't drain, I ask them, well, did you just put a garbage disposal in? We sure did. Well, you didn't knock out the plug, I bet you money. So I typically come in and I stick my screwdriver in here like this, and I just give it one good hit, two good little hits, and it falls in there. And then you got to reach in here and pull it out. Yep, you see it's just a little plug. This is the side I was hitting to knock it out, so it just pops in there. Some companies have one that's like it's a hard plastic, it's black. This company has a white one that just is kind of just a press plug. We're gonna pull our little decal off here. It's covering our screw holes. Yep, get all this off. All right, drop that in our bucket. Now we're going to hang our garbage disposal. So we're going to put it up here. We want to point our drain. This is our drain, this direction. So we're going to hang it up here. So if you look at this ring right here, let me set this down. If you look at this ring, you see how it goes up and gets higher, and then it's got a notch in it right there. So as you turn this around, there's a little keeper right there. That little keeper catches on right here and rides up and locks it down. So what we're doing is we want to have this ring orientated so that we can get it up here. And then we lift it up. And we turn it around. So you want to make sure all three of them catch, because there's three of them. So you can basically just feel, and you can feel the flange on the top side. So you'll feel around the back. Yep, I concur that the back is tight. And then I'm gonna grab my screwdriver. And what I'd like to do is stick the screwdriver in here. I'm gonna stick it in this way so you can kind of see what I do. Stick the screwdriver in here. I hold the garbage disposal, and I just pull it around until it locks down. And then you can twist it a little bit if you get off. The plastic will spin in the rubber a little bit. But you want to try to orientate it the right direction at first. So then we're going to take our flanged tailpiece, which is this one, and we're going to put our gasket on that came with the dishwasher. Garbage disposal. I apologize. The garbage disposal. So this gasket actually has a little cut in it right there, a little groove, and that little groove goes on the flange. The flanged piece that comes with the garbage disposal, I'll show it to you. It's actually a black 90 that turns straight down. I've found very typically in the past, those 90s, see, they turn down like this, and they tend to not drain very good. They'll tend to get stopped up. It's too much of a angle. So I come straight out. Show you one. So you can see on this old piece, this black 90, that rubber flange goes on here. So you can see how it changes directions real hard and then goes down into the P-trap and changes directions. So the way I'm going to pipe it is go straight over to a continuous waste and then go into a P-trap and then into the drain. Yeah, that's what we do. So I'm going to put this up here. We got to put this flange on it, this flange kit, but we don't want to put the flange kit on until we get our distance that we need to cut it off at. Somewhere right in here is going to be where we're going to cut it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get the other flange tail piece, and I'm going to stick it on here and get it locked into place, and then we'll put the continuous waste on here. I'll show you the continuous waste in just a second. So here's our other flange tailpiece, and it doesn't have a rubber gasket like the other one. It's called a hat washer, and this is what it looks like. So the hat washer has a flat top on it and a beveled edge. So what I like to do is put the hat washer on here. I typically like to use some, what we call in the plumbing industry, some pipe dope. The brand I use is Rector Seal T+2. It is just, this is basically liquid Teflon. And so what I like to do is I like to put a little bit on the flange like this, all the way around. And then I drop the hat washer in there like that. And then I'll put a little bit on here before I connect it up underneath. Right now I'm gonna go ahead and cut this where I think is gonna be like right there. Now, like I said, I've been doing this a long time, so I like to use a hacksaw blade to cut it. You can use a sawzall or whatever you want to use. Cut that off, and then always on your basket strainer, you're going to use a metal nut. The metal nut, make sure that it secures to the threads. After you cut it, you need to ream it. So I like to take my pocket knife and cut the inside out a little bit and then go around the outside edge, just to make sure that we're deburring it. And then we're going to take a little bit of this pipe dope, and I'm going to actually put it right inside here. It just gives you a better chance of not having leaks, less chance of having leaks. And then I'm going to put this up here. I'm going to just put it hand tight for right now. I'll go back and snug it up with my channel locks. But now I want to get my continuous waste, which is this fitting here. Continuous waste tee, and if you look down in there, it has a baffle in it. So when we put this towards our garbage disposal like this, the garbage disposal goes in there, and if you look down in there, it's got a baffle that shoots the chewed up food and stuff downward so that it doesn't pop back up to your sink up top. So we're going to put this on there and see what our measurement looks like. We're going to hold this up there, and it looks like it's about right. So we're going to put us a slip nut on here and a gasket. So you have to be careful with your slip nuts. There's two sizes. There's 1.25 inches and there's 1.5 inches. The 1.25 inches is used on lavatories. The 1.5 inches is typically used on kitchen sinks. So this is your slip nut, and it's a threaded female nut, and then this is your gasket. Now the gasket has a bevel on it. Can you see that bevel? Can you see that bevel on it? Yeah, so that bevel is got to face downstream. So we're gonna put this on here. We're gonna put the nut on here like this. I'm gonna slide the nut on first, and with our bevel pointing down, it's gonna go on here like this. And we're gonna slide it up there. And then we're gonna put this on here, and we're just gonna hand tighten it for right now. Then we're gonna hold our fitting up here, and we're gonna mark it. You can use a Sharpie. I carry a Sharpie every day. I just like to hold my finger on it and then cut it. So I'm gonna bring it over here, and I'm going to cut it with my handy dandy hacksaw blade. Got a bend in it from cutting that basket strainer. There we go, that's better. And then you can actually use your hacksaw blade, and you can put it in there like that with the teeth, and then go around the edge if you didn't want to have two tools to do this. And I usually just wipe it off. Then we're going to stick a nut on there, a slip nut, and our gasket. Remember, we're going downstream with the way the bevel points. Oh, we got to stick 2 nuts on there. Let me back up. I've got to have, no, I need the flange. I'm sorry. I need my flange. Too busy trying to teach you the right way. All right, so now we put our flange on. The flange, actually, it's hard to see. It's going to be hard to see on the camera, I know. It has a flat, more rounded surface on the surface that goes away from the garbage disposal. The other surface is more sharp edged. So our gasket goes towards the garbage disposal. Our sharp edge goes on first, and then we're going to put our nut on pointing the other direction towards our downstream side. And then we're going to put our coned gasket on pointing downstream. And then we're going to slide it on just a little bit. So then we're going to stick our piece up here. Now the reason we only hand tightened is so that we can go ahead and put this together and then stick this in there and then slide it together here. And then we're going to tighten, hand tight the gasket here. Hand tight the gasket here. That way it gives you a little flexible room. And then we're going to take our 2 bolts that came with the garbage disposal, and we're going to start them on each side. I like to just put about 2 threads in, and then I'll grab my screwdriver and tighten them up the rest of the way. Now let me tell you what, that one on the back side that you can't see is usually pretty tricky to see and do blind, but you'll figure it out as you go. So let me get my screwdriver. Got my handy dandy screwdriver, and I'm going to tighten this one up. All right guys, now we're fixing to install our P-trap, and so before we do that, we're going to have another piece of slip extension. If you see right here that is the P-trap wasn't quite the tailpiece, I mean the continuous waste tee wasn't quite long enough when we go to put this together. Yeah, you probably could have squeezed that together, but I don't like to, chance just barely having into the fitting. I like to kind of get deep into the socket, at least 1/2 to 3/4. So what I like to do is just go ahead and add the extra slip extension. I ran it all the way up and banged it out. And then we're going to run this up. Uh-oh, we may have to take some off. I'm gonna have to take some off the flange tee. No big deal. We just take this and take about an inch and a half off. All right, now we slide our slip extension on there, tighten it up. And remember, we just snugged everything up. We didn't tighten everything all the way down. So we'll go back after we get all this on, put our next nut on. Remember, the cone washer needs to point with the bevel downstream. It's super important. And we finish button up our P-trap here. Uh-oh. Why didn't you tell me I made a mistake? Who can see what's wrong with the picture? Leave a comment down in the bottom. I'd like to just see who caught what's done wrong here. Bam, baby, we forgot the nut for the trap adapter. All right, we'll put this back together here. And get our P-trap buttoned up here. Now we go through and tighten all of our slip joints. I like to go through and tighten them all at the same time so that I don't ever forget one. I just hand tighten, snug them, and then I like to come back with a channel lock. And look, you're not gorillaing these down. You're just giving them a 1/4 turn, or just a little 1/8 of a turn, just enough to, keep it where that it won't leak. Just a little bit. Just a little bit, because you can't over tighten these and then cause them to leak. And then this one right here, we need to snug down a little bit. And when you tighten this one, you don't want to turn it a whole lot. You just want to kind of give it a bump turn, just like that. If you over tighten that one, it'll spin the basket strainer, and then your basket strainer will leak. So we put our tools up, put our stuff up, get our trash put up, Close up our pipe dope. Dust our pants off on our drop cloth here. Now we've got to do one more thing. You don't want to forget this. You forget this, you'll sure be sad the next time you kick your dishwasher on. Put that on there. Get our channel locks. Garbage disposal. Yeah, but your dishwasher, next time you kick your dishwasher on, it'll leak because it won't be hooked to the garbage disposal. So let me tighten this. It's all tightened up. Now all we got left to do is to plug our garbage disposal in. And now we're gonna bump it on right quick before we do our final cleanup. I'm gonna hit the switch and you'll be able to hear it run. Sounds good. Sounds good and quiet. Now we're going to turn the water on and we're going to check our drains and make sure everything works. No leaks, no drips, no errors. Looking good. We're on the garbage disposal side. So that the garbage disposal drains from here. Like you can kind of see the water running through. You see it? Yeah. So it drains from this side going this way down the waste tee, the continuous waste tee. You can see the water falling through here, and then it goes down through the slips extension and then down into the P-trap. And you can see the water kind of turning and churning through the P-trap. And then it goes from the P-trap around. This right here, this little bottom bend where my finger is right here, that's called the weir of the trap. And then it flows on down the drain. Now let's check the other side. Move the faucet over. Yep, got water draining down through there, looks good. Don't see any drips or errors. Looks like a good job. I'll just leave it running while I'm doing cleanup here. So guys, you've learned how to, just to recap, you've learned how to cut a basket strainer off correctly so that you can replace a basket strainer when it's seized up on there. You also learned how to put an outlet in for your garbage disposal if you feel inclined to do that. You also learned how to replace the garbage disposal and all the drain work underneath the kitchen sink. So be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to leave your comments down below and tell us what you would like to see us fix for you. And don't forget, boys and girls, go with God.